Hello and welcome back to another episode of Let Loose with Moose. Today I have 563 D5. Hi, how are you doing?
Doing great, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, kind of have a little bit of issues pronouncing 563 somehow.
No worries. Yeah, it's funny. It's people always. I've always heard like people trying to tag me. It's like, what was that number again? It's like it's all good. No worries.
Right, and let's start off with a little bit of an introduction and background of yourself, and of course, your origin story of how you got into crypto.
Origin story. Yeah, that sounds good. So my background is actually in engineering. I got my bachelor's and master's in aerospace engineering. I started my career over at NASA, and then past 6 or 7 years, I've been working in the defense industry. So working on like fighter jets and missiles and that sort of thing. Um,
That's
yeah, I
cool
really
stuff,
got
man.
it. Yeah, it's pretty cool. I don't know how much it relates to DeFi, but it's gotten to, I don't know. It's been an interesting career so far. But yeah, I started getting into crypto. I don't know, probably this last bull run, pretty much. I mean, everyone's making money. Is like, what's this thing over here? Um, yeah, I kind of always shrugged it off, like previous bull runs, be like, these poor saps losing all their money. Feel bad for them. But after so many bull runs, it's like, all right, maybe there's something here. So I started doing some research in 2021, and I guess in 2022, I figured, all right, I better start capturing what I'm learning. So the best way for me to do that has been through like long form writing. So started my blog up in 22, mainly just because I wanted to learn, and I felt the best way for me to learn was to write it down. Um, so yeah, that started doing pretty well in 2022. Some people seem to like it. I got some offers to people reached out to start writing for them. So that started off with Cryptonary. I started having a relationship with those guys. Started writing a piece for them like every month. Basically, that was like investment theses. So I'd have to pick a project that I'm excited about that I want to invest in, and then they would try to like push back and be like, "Why you want to invest in this?" and try to poke holes in my thesis. And then if it made it through that, I would get through and then start writing a full up report on why I like this project, what's exciting about it, some bull case and bear case, investment like invalidation criteria, that sort of thing. So I've been doing that for a little while, and then Bankless reached out and started writing a couple pieces for them. That's more of the like newsletter article kind of deal, and that's been fun just because it's kind of different stuff. I mean, mostly my work had been all on the DeFi side and going deep into certain projects, and then in Bankless, it's more flavor of the month and get to learn about a bunch of different topics. Like I did some infrastructure pieces and stuff like that. So that's been a lot of fun. Really smart guys over there. And then also recently started working with the Blockmates guys. Um, and that's just like a whole another side of DeFi. They're very loose, and I really like their voice, and it's very degen friendly. I get to work with a couple of like builders there, so that's pretty cool. You get to sit down and talk with them and pick their brain, and yeah, it's been a lot of fun. I mean, all this is in a parallel to my 9 to 5, so it's been a lot of work, but really DeFi and crypto in general has been a bit of a obsession for me the last couple of years. So it's been all fun work for me.
Nice, awesome. I actually wanted to ask like how do you got into writing, and I think it's a really cool opportunity to be able to write for so many different platforms, right? And especially they're so big and known like Bankless and Blockmates as well.
Oh,
So
for sure.
yeah, really cool. But do you consider it's a bit lucky like to get such a road this opportunity, right? Like so early in your crypto journey.
No,
Because I
yeah,
think
I
I think
definitely
it's
don't
really
deserve it.
amazing, man. How did you get it? Teach me, man.
It's no, it's good. I'm really surprised. Like if you told me 5 years ago that people would actually enjoy what I write, I would not believe you because I am not a writer. I went to school for engineering. There were no writing classes. I never considered myself a writer, but it's fun because I try to write stuff that I would enjoy reading and that is easy for me to understand. Just like I said, I was actually listening to this conversation with, I think it was John Charb, that was talking through his writing process. He goes way in depth on things that are way over my head, but his whole thing was if he got through the entire process, finished it, and then burned his writing, he would still be happy with why he did it because he had already gotten everything out of it that he wanted to. And that's kind of how I feel about it too. Like write about these things because I'm interested in them. And yeah, it's just been really lucky that other people have found interest in it. Um, yeah, I just feel really fortunate because I think maybe if someone wants to follow in those footsteps, I mean, the best way to do it is just go out and start writing about things that interest you. Writing's not for everybody. Maybe people talking in this kind of format is better for some people, or making videos, or just writing tweet threads. I think maybe that's pretty appealing to a lot of people. It really depends what you want and what you want to try to get out of it. I really am focused on the education side of things, so long form writing really made sense to me. Um, but to get the word out there, it's kind of hard to do that just purely on a Substack or on a Medium, which is what I'd used. Um, Without having some secondary promoting. So I usually would write like a couple of threads on what I'm writing about, and then just to get the word out there. And then like 1% of people would click through to get to my article, and sometimes the right people click through. I guess I just been really lucky to build out this network. And yeah, I mean, this is the time to do it, right? If you're still in this market, you actually enjoy this stuff, and there aren't that many people around in the bear market. I mean, social um, metrics are really all the way down, so this is the time to dig deep and learn about these different things. And yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm excited about learning about these things, and I'm happy that some people have found value in what I've written.
Nice, nice. It's really nice, man. And okay, so I want to just jump right in since you're kind of known for doing all these articles of projects, right? You analyze them on a very deep level. And so let's jump right in into your investing framework. Could you share a bit
Okay.
more about your investing framework and like what's your research process and all behind before you click the buy button?
Oh, sure. No, I mean, I'm honestly very picky when it comes to my personal investments. You just get inundated with project after project when you get onto Twitter, and when you get into these different groups, people are shilling things left and right. And yeah, I get it. It's super overwhelming for people. It's overwhelming for me and I do it every day. Um, yeah, but honestly, what I do is I kind of just troll the lines of Twitter, see if anything comes up that interests me. I'll bookmark it for later, and then every day I'll sit down and try to read through the docs and read through and just read through everything I can about a certain project and try to understand the bull and bear case. Is it? I try to only invest in things that I think will be important in the infrastructure of crypto in the next 5 to 10 years. So if something's a passing fad, I usually won't even bother. Like if there's some hype cycle that's developing around some use case that's not necessarily sticky, um, I just won't even think about it. I'll just pass it off because you have to have these filters in place, and you have to understand where your place in the market is. If you don't have an edge in a certain sector, I don't think you should even mess with it. Like if you're not big into infrastructure, like I'm not big into infrastructure, it kind of goes over my head. I just won't even touch the infrastructure plays. I'll only touch things that I understand. So that's the first pass, and then I try to once I understand the docs and how the mechanisms work, I'll try to actually write it out. Like that's why I write these long form articles is because sort of you can kind of go through my articles and be like, all right, he likes this project. He's probably invested in that one. Um, you can dig through the deep and read between the lines there. But a lot of the projects that I invest in, I write about just because I want to learn more about them. And the writing is kind of my due diligence. And so I'll write through it. I'll talk to the team as much as I can. If the team is not very responsive on whatever platform they use, if that's Twitter, if that's Discord, it's Telegram, it's usually a red flag for me, and I just won't even touch it. But yeah, I try to get my questions answered. Try to understand the competitive landscape of which projects are in, and if they're new to the whole ecosystem that they're trying to corner, then yeah, that's very interesting to me. There just aren't a lot that I would consider investable right now. There's definitely some early projects I'm very interested in and I have invested in, but the list is very short just because a lot of them haven't proven product market fit yet. You can see the pathway to them, and those are the ones I'm interested in. But yeah, I'm very picky when it comes to my investments.
And so I read that you actually have these you write about base recently, right? On
Yeah.
Bankless, if I remember correctly. So what are your thoughts on them since your last update? We're recording this on the 14th of August.
Yep.
So you wrote it on the 4th of August. It's been about 10 days. A lot has happened since then.
Yes.
Could you share some thoughts about base?
I'm actually really excited about Base. It's very interesting. Like already they've had a like friend tech. I guess that's the big one that's popping off right now. That one's pretty interesting. It's interesting that it's not a DeFi product that's doing well so far. It's a social product, which is not what I expected, um, which is good. I think something different and disruptive it has to happen for some new chain to actually stand out. There's just so many new chains popping up. It's a bit overwhelming. I mean, obviously,
Yeah, yeah.
there's different alt L1s that's mostly what the last cycle was about. I think this cycle will be a lot more about the L2s, and there's just so many going on right now. It's like there's Mantle, Linea. It's like all these new ones popping up, and
Yeah, dude, D-Bank
it's
is launching their own L2 as
yeah,
well.
DBank. It's funny. I think that all of that honestly is pretty bullish for optimism, just because they're all using the OP stack, including Base. Um, but honestly, I think Coinbase is very well positioned here because if you ask any American, like what Coinbase is, it's just so synonymous with crypto in America. It's just one to one. It's going to be a lot easier for them to break down those barriers for people to enter this market than any other L2, I think, at least in on the Western side of things. Maybe you have that for BSC on the Eastern side of things, and I think Coinbase is kind of that parallel you can think of for the Western side. And I think it's going to be super interesting for them to have the whole institutional side of things too, because I mean they already have the KYC metrics in place. They already have like I think it's the largest network of KYC accounts. So it makes sense that they would be where these institutions would want to launch structured products that have to be KYC vaulted or whatever, like walled off. But yeah, I'm super excited about Base to be honest. It's I think people get distracted just because like the meme coins came out first, and they're like, all right, we'll just
Mm-hmm.
dismiss this chain because there's some meme coins that popped up. But I think that's just noise. I think that's going to happen no matter what, and I think there's going to be a lot of big projects that are going to be built on there. So I'm keeping my eye close on Base right now.
Awesome. Yeah, I've heard that there are some pretty huge projects that are looking to expand onto base as well. And of course, you mentioned there's a little bit of a similarity between the OP stack that base is built on and the Cosmos app chain thesis. Could we hear a little bit more about that as well?
Oh, sure. Yeah, I mean, that's super interesting to me. It's funny because you see these two worlds trying to converge. So you have Cosmos, which is just this app chain thesis where these applications can build their own chain that all link together through the Cosmos hub. And at the same time, you have these new L2s, or I guess Arbitrum's building L3s, but the OP stack is building a network of L2s. Same thing with the ZK stack, and same thing with Polygon 2.0. They're all trying to build this kind of network of interconnected L2s that are all app specific. Well, not all of them app specific, but some of them, a lot of them are app specific to whatever they're trying to build. So I know Lyra is trying to build their own app specific rollup where they can control all of the ins and outs. They can basically structure their product however they want, just like you would a Cosmos rollup or a Cosmos app chain, I should say. And that'll all play nicely within the OP stack so that you get the base security of Ethereum, but you also get to turn all the dials and knobs how you want when you're building that app specific rollup. So I think it's super interesting. I think that's going to be really the future is these app specific chains, whether that's on Ethereum, which is probably my base case, or if that's on something like Cosmos.
Right, awesome. Nice to hear your thoughts, man. And actually, I want to ask you this question. How do you think the OP token will stand to benefit from all these um, people building on their OP stack? Like, this is a question that I've
Yeah.
been thinking about as well. Would like to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, for sure. I've been thinking about it a lot too. So right now, just like the Arbitrum token, the OP token is kind of just a governance token. Um, and people don't like that idea of the governance token, but I think you have to think beyond that. So think out 5, 10 years, and if optimism becomes and the OP stack becomes some base level infrastructure that's used everywhere, there is a point where maybe they want to decentralize that sequencer, and maybe a path to do that is have the OP token decide who is part of that sequencer set and have some kind of revenue share with that sequencer set. So I think it's kind of short-sighted, and that's kind of the argument too with the uni token too. It's
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it doesn't generate fees now, but is there a path for it to generate fees eventually once cements its moat and becomes this key piece of infrastructure that's used everywhere and it can't be dislodged? So I think some people have a little bit of short-sightedness with that. Definitely, real yield is a thing, and I think people definitely will look at revenue and some kind of TradFi metrics that we're used to, like price to earnings, that sort of thing, in the next bull run. But I think there's also going to be these plays where, just like these tech companies, like these massive tech companies that don't necessarily give off dividends, it's kind of the same thing with these large governance tokens that don't necessarily give off revenue share yet. I mean, there's a promise eventually that they will give off revenue share once they cement their place in the ecosystem. So I think that's kind of what you're hoping for when you're buying these governance tokens, especially if you can't use them for gas or anything like that. I think with account abstraction, maybe that becomes possible where you can pay for your transactions with these governance tokens. I think Mantle's doing that already, or they're planning on doing that. But yeah, right now I think it's just kind of you're hoping eventually that they have some use besides governance, which
Mm-hmm.
I think is a safe bet, but I think it's going to take a while.
Yeah, it's kind of like a possibility of happening, and if you are going
Yeah,
to take that bet, right, it's a bet that it will happen. But of course, no one knows for sure right now, right, because it's not announced yet. But I
right,
think it's
right.
definitely something for people to start thinking about, right? I think it's a good time to start thinking about this kind of stuff.
Yeah, and I think it's really early, to be honest. Like, we don't know which L2 is going to win or which is going to be the dominant player. I think there can be a couple winners as long as there's some back end that connects them all together. But it's so early. Like, there's only a few apps on each of these chains that actually have staying power. So I think it's going to take a while before we actually know which one's going to win. So these early bets are bets. They're speculation, and I don't think people should be staking their life savings on one of these over the other right now.
Right, right. And my next question to you, since you cover so many projects in your writings, again, could you name like the DeFi sector that you're the most bullish on right now?
Oh man, there's so much. There's so much to be excited about right now. I'm honestly very bullish, and I'm just kind of nervous about when the bull run starts, and every you're getting more and more projects that are popping up more like every day, and advertising heavily. But I guess the sectors that I'm most excited about, um, I I guess it's not a specific sector, but any project leveraging account abstraction, I think will be a big deal. Um, it's just so, like, if you wanted to bring in someone into crypto and into DeFi now, there's just so many barriers to entry. Like,
Mm-hmm.
if you wanted to bring your parents into DeFi, I just don't think it's like, if I'm bringing my mom and dad onto LP on Uniswap, it's just so many different things you have to go through before you get to that stage. You have to sign up for a centralized exchange. You have to on ramp some money. You have to buy some ETH. You have to set up a soft wallet. You have to ramp that money
Mm-hmm.
onto the soft wallet. You have to explain how gas works, like why fees are higher at some times than others. You have to do token swaps and all these different wallet confirmations every single time you want to do something. It's just overwhelming. So I think, and it's starting now. I think a lot of projects are getting into account abstraction to try to take away those hurdles that are in the way. So I think projects are going to have to do that, and maybe that comes down to the wallet level and not necessarily the app level. I'm looking at that a lot, just trying to understand how to widen that total addressable market for sure. Um, Besides that, yeah, obviously L2s are very exciting for me right now. I'm trying to follow those as closely as I can. Um, for now, I think Arbitrum is doing very well with their TVL. But I think Optimism is trying to give them a run for their money with OP Stack. And these newer ones, definitely keeping an eye on. I'm just not as confident in them yet. Just think they have to prove themselves and bring the builders over in some way. I think there's going to be some pretty heavy incentives for them to do that. But looking at those two, and then yeah, like I was saying, the whole messaging protocols with Layer Zero and Chainlink TCP, I think are going to be very big. We just have this whole liquidity fragmentation problem in DeFi right now. I mean, if you're launching a new chain, you have that cold start problem where you don't have the liquidity necessary to bring people on board. You have these crazy like uh, fees, not fees, but like spreads on different swaps just because the liquidity is not there. So something like layer 0 or Chainlink CCIP can help that. They can have some base layer because you can have all these interconnection connected apps. So say you have something like Radiant or Tapioca DAO, where there's some lending app that's already built, and all you have to do is attach that one node into a new network, and now that new network can access all of the liquidity that's on that app already. So I think that's going to be pretty big, just because we have this infrastructure and this ecosystem of apps, like different apps on different L2s. So if you can find a way to connect all of those together, I think that's has a lot of potential. And
Awesome.
one more,
Yeah,
yeah, one more
go
thing.
ahead.
I think um, maybe contrary to what I was saying before, but I think investors and newer entrants into DeFi are going to look pretty heavily on revenues and protocols that actually have sustainable business models. So I think that'll be important to look at too. Like, are these protocols actually earning money above what they're actually emitting? So I think protocols that are doing that and not just like emitting tokens like crazy are going to stand the test of time more so than ones that are just inflationary without end.
Yep, definitely agree with you there. Sustainability and being able to be profitable or like have a revenue stream is really, really important for the long run.
Absolutely.
Yep. And I'm not sure if you're a macro guy, but we're going to zoom out a little bit and I want to
Sure.
hear your thoughts on where you see the markets going for the last few months of 2023 and going to 2024.
Yeah, I'm definitely out of my depth when I talk about macro, so no one take this as gospel. But from what I understand, it's very interesting to watch because if you look at a lot of crypto indicators, it looks very much like we're towards the bottom and and like in terms of sentiment and what's and that sort of thing. It looks very likely that we have hit a bottom. But if you look at macro, it looks like um, doesn't look all rosy. I mean, we have a yield curve inversion, and that almost always leads to a recession. We have a very strong jobs market, but it's interesting. It'll be interesting to see if these higher rates go on to affect that, because usually the job market's the last thing to fall. So I'm definitely out of my element there, but I think it's wise to have some cash on the sidelines just because it's so uncertain. At least the macro side of things is uncertain. But definitely open to other opinions there because that is not my area of expertise.
Right, right. But like, do you believe in the Bitcoin halving and like price go up afterwards? Like, it has happened so far, right? For the
Yeah,
past
it
few
has
times we
happened so
saw.
far.
Do you think this is something that will continue moving into the next halving, or what's your thoughts?
I think market psychology kind of forces it to happen, whether it should happen or not. Um, so yeah, I think it would be not wise to completely fade that idea just because it's happened every single time. So yeah, I'm definitely positioned for that. It's just I want to make sure if there's some, if you call it even a black swan, I don't think it'd be a black swan just because everyone's expecting it to happen. If there's some recession that happens in the U.S. and that maybe trickles throughout the rest of the world, I think it's wise to try to hedge your bets. So if you think, okay, bull run's definitely happening, but also there could be some recession scare, then maybe it makes sense to have a little one foot in the pool, one foot out, and that's kind of what I'm doing right now.
Awesome, awesome. And let me think about what's the next question I want to ask you, because I'm pretty much kind of covered everything they want to cover for crypto, and it's only been less than half an hour.
No, it's fun. Yeah, I mean that kind of happens. I usually I talk pretty fast, so it's all good. And yeah, I mean, which guests that recently have you been most excited to have on? Have you learned the most from? Maybe I can ask you a question.
Ooh, I think the one that I learned the most from would be from Patrick, Dynamo Patrick, right?
Oh yeah,
He shared. I'm not sure if you tuned in to that episode. He shared about how to do on-chain analysis, right? We talked a little bit about that, such as what does he look out for on DeFi Llama, right? We all know he's a huge fan of DeFi Llama.
oh me too.
So yeah, so he kind of just went step by step, like, okay, I'll open to this page. We're gonna maybe look at TVL, look at what's been growing the past 7 days, and then you see which ones are the ones that catch your eye, and then you go in deeper level and then look at the protocols from there and there on. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean that's part of my process too. I usually I know a lot of people are looking at revenues and fees right now, so that's generally what I'm looking at for DeFi Llama. So I'd usually go in and check, all right, who's the best performer in the last 7 days for fees and revenue. And if I haven't heard of one of the protocols, I'd be like, oh, what's this one? This one's new. I'll start looking at that. And then, yeah, I mean, you're asking about macro, but one of the things on DeFi Llama I look at a lot are stablecoin inflows. So you have to think of stable coins as the cash and the lifeblood of DeFi. So if there's no new dollars entering the system, how are prices going to go up? So I look at the stablecoin flows as a big indicator of how we're doing right now. And honestly, it's been going down, down only this whole year. So that's kind of why I'm kind of hedging my bets towards being a little more conservative, since it is such a PvP market nowadays.
Right. Oh, and I kind of want to know what want to ask you next. So, moving on from the crypto side, right? Let's talk a little bit
Hmm.
more about yourself to get to know a bit more
Sure.
about you. So I saw in your Twitter bio that you put former NASA.
Yeah.
That's really interesting, right? So why did you decide to leave NASA? And I'm not sure where you are now, but like, and kind of you're not full time in crypto yet, right?
No, no, I work
No.
in the defense industry, so I work
Uh,
on like military projects.
so just kind of a badge of honor, like oh, ex Google
Yeah,
kind of thing.
I didn't really wanna, go into detail on where I'm working now, so that's
Yeah,
where
yeah.
I put yeah, NASA's kind of a cool one to put on the bio
Hmm.
too. It kinda draws some eyes, but yeah, I've always been into space. I mean, that's why my degrees are in aerospace engineering, focused a little bit more on the rocket side of things and combustion and propulsion during my grad degree, so yeah, definitely interested in that stuff. The work I did over at NASA was a lot of fun. Huge props to those guys. It's just I wasn't a huge fan of the locations. I mean, I guess that's maybe that's not super important to a lot of people, but there's life outside of work, and I didn't want to spend it in
Hmm.
I was in LA, so I wasn't really too happy with living out there. But yeah, definitely some cool work, coolest work I've ever done. But I the whole work life balance just wasn't for me.
Right, understood. And of course, everyone has different preferences and priorities about what they prefer in a job, right? So
Yeah,
there's like
for
no
sure.
right or wrong in these kind of things. And my next question to you, could you tell us about a day in the life of 563?
Yeah, sure. Um, yeah, sure. So I'll wake up pretty early, and then I usually do my workout in the morning. Get that done, and then yeah, do the 9 to 5. I work from home, so do the 9 to 5, and
Oh,
then
nice.
yeah, that's pretty nice. I definitely recommend it if it's available for people. But yeah, do that, and then usually after that, I'll have a list of projects I'm wanting to look into. So the last so an hour or two after work, I'll go through and start digging through all of those. Try to be pretty dismissive on projects that I'm not interested in, just because there's so much to go through. So I'll go through and try to get through all those projects and try to flag the ones I'm interested in. And yeah, I mean, pretty basic amongst people that are interested in DeFi, but I try to keep a running list of my research, and I'll usually have at least one article I'm working on, depending on who's on the docket for working on next. So I'll be working on that and or working on my research just whenever I find time. That's pretty much it. I like cooking, so I'll cook some dinner.
Ah, nice.
Yeah, play some games.
Oh, but it's really nice that you are always working on something. I think it takes a lot of commitment. And I mean it's nice because it keeps you moving, right? Kind of like a momentum.
Oh,
I
right.
think that's a good thing.
Absolutely.
Yep. And like, could
No,
you?
yeah, it's
Yeah.
nice having it's nice having some project I can work on, just because it keeps me disciplined, like you were saying. So it keeps
Hmm.
me interested interested in the market even when it's kind of boring.
Right. That I mean, there's always something going on in these markets, right? Just have to find them.
Right. Yeah, there's a bull market everywhere, just not in crypto right now.
Now, some parts of crypto you might have like
Yeah,
that
true.
you wrote about Balt, right? The Balt token, and then
Oh, for
now,
sure.
and I think
Lost some money there.
there's a few like saw Tomb Fox that are launching on base as well.
Oh, really? I
So
didn't know that.
yeah, so kind of I don't know, not non advice, but like farm and dumb or something, you know.
That's definitely advice. No,
Yeah,
nothing,
but
nothing bad ever happens from those guys. Um,
no,
no, I mean, yeah, you have the
totally.
whole the Gamblefy and then the Telegram bots. I mean, there's always
Yeah,
something interesting thing happening. So
Right. All right. And I want to ask about like what are your hobbies, man? So far I've only heard you talk about your work and your other
yeah,
work and cooking dinner.
yeah, sure. So um, I'm pretty fortunate to live like out in the Rocky Mountains, so I get to go skiing out here in the winter, and then during the summer I get to hike a lot. So love getting outdoors, spending as much time out there as I can. Those are pretty probably my biggest hobbies, hiking and skiing.
No, that's so nice.
Yeah, I love it. It's definitely spoiled out here.
Yeah, man.
Uh,
Like I've never gone skiing. Would totally love to try. Don't have this opportunity where I'm located at, right? And I'm
yeah,
really
yeah,
jealous of that, man. Because Jake Jake Pahor shared on his episode that he like to go scuba diving whenever he wants to, and like, damn, that's really nice. I want to do
cool.
that too. And you are going
No,
skiing and hiking as well.
no, it's really nice, and that's why I was saying the whole work life balance when I was over at NASA. Just, I mean, living in a big city like over in LA was just a little overwhelming for me. I mean, some people love that sort of thing, and you get different, go to different shows and go downtown and all the different, um, I don't know, different restaurants and bars and whatever. But for me, I really like getting out into nature, and I try to find a place where I can do that. And yeah, I mean, there's so many opportunities now in crypto. I think that's one of the reasons why it drew me towards it. It's just decentralizing all of finance and decentralizing opportunities. It's just so many different opportunities for people getting into it early, like now. It's very exciting, and I think people should try to take advantage of it if they can.
Awesome. And let's talk a little bit about your goals. Did you set any
Sure.
goals for yourself, like to accomplish by the end of this year? We're nearing the end of this year, right? Or yeah,
Yeah, so
anything
I
like that?
definitely want to. Yeah, I want to get more involved in the uh, with the companies I'm working with right now, and probably some other ones too. And beyond that, I'm really excited about how much I didn't really expect how big of a networking opportunity getting onto Twitter and the different platforms would be. It's really opened up a lot of doors. Just so I think if people are interested in getting into this kind of work, just start doing the work, and you're not going to be great at it at first. And I mean, I don't think I'm great at it either,
Me
but
too.
I think you're gonna. Yeah, I mean, you just got to start doing it. You got to start doing the work and putting in time, and I think people will start appreciating the people that are putting in work, and they want to be connected to those people. And I'm really excited about uh, growing with these small groups that we've made, and yeah, just learning from each other and building off ideas. My goals really have just been getting more into the writing side of things and making sure I stay focused and producing more pieces and refining my voice and trying to provide as much value as I can. I don't really have too many specific goals on articles per day or whatever, but or per week, definitely not per day. Um, but yeah, definitely want to keep working with the people I'm working with and learning from them, just because a lot of them have been in the industry longer than I have, and I can definitely learn a ton from them.
Mm-hmm. That's really nice, man. And I actually kind of think you're like so underrated on
I
Twitter, right?
appreciate that.
And I'm actually a bit embarrassed to say this, but I did not hear about you until I think it was Mughal
Oh yeah, he's great.
that shared on his episode, like he was nominating you, and then I looked you up and like, hey, this guy writes for Bankless and Blockmates, and I've never seen his name.
No, it's fine. Yeah, I mean, I really haven't made it a big point to try to promote myself. I mean, that's not really why I got into Twitter. It's more of just to put my work out there and see who likes it. Yeah, maybe I could probably be better about promoting myself, but honestly, that's not really my goal. I mean, I'm not trying to be this beacon of knowledge on Twitter and being this person that everyone turns to promote something. I mean, that's not really what I want to do. I want to provide benefits to or provide knowledge for people that want to learn about it, crypto in the long form. And been really fortunate to have these platforms to speak through, whether that's through Cryptonary, Bankless, or Blockmates. And yeah, Waj is great. He's a great guy. So appreciate him helping me out.
No, in fact, I think this mentality or this mindset will actually bring you further because you're not doing it just because like, oh, because I want to have like 50K followers on Twitter,
Yeah,
right? And you actually
I mean,
have
that's not really the
this
goal.
you have
It's
this
a
goal of educating or like spreading knowledge kind
yeah.
of in the kind of sense where I think this will actually bring you further than someone who's like, oh yeah, I want to hit like 50K followers on
Yeah, I
Twitter,
mean,
that
maybe
kind of
not
thing.
in the beginning. I think people that optimize for growth definitely will grow faster, obviously.
Hmm.
But I guess I'm not really in it for the money yet. I think I have a pretty good career right now, and I just do this stuff because I love it, and um, it's just so much fun to me. So I'd be doing it even if it didn't make me any money when I made these articles. So yeah, it's just been fun so far. I'm glad people are liking it, and honestly, the slow growth is nice just because I don't get hate mail all the time. It's mostly people just reaching out saying they like my work, so it's great to have that community.
That's nice, yeah. And I mean, I believe you can do more on Twitter if you want to, right? Cause I've
Oh, for
seen
sure.
your thread on Frex just a few days ago as well.
Yeah, yeah,
So and you have already been writing like long form content. You could easily break that up and post it on Twitter as well. So definitely,
yeah.
I think you can do it if you want to.
And I probably
But I
will.
mean, of course,
It depends on what I'm writing about.
yeah,
And
just at
some
your own
things,
pace, right?
yeah, and sometimes it doesn't. It's tough to write about complex topics in threads, and that's why I try to stick to the long form. But yeah, I could definitely do some more on self promotion and that sort of thing through threads. I think that's probably a better idea. So I probably will do that going forward.
I mean, there's no right or wrong here.
Yeah,
It's not
yeah.
like, hey, you have to grow bigger, man. I am not telling you to do that,
No, no, no.
right?
But getting the ideas out there is probably a smart idea, and that's generally what I try to do. Like when I write a long form article, I'll try to write for like a thread about it. The problem is when it's a paywalled article, I can't really write about it.
Right,
So if,
right.
but definitely the public ones, I'll go ahead and write threads.
Awesome. And I think we could wrap this up soon. Could we hear your greatest takeaway from being in crypto?
Greatest take, man. There's so much. Just right now, I'm just so excited about how many people are building, despite the bearish sentiment around. I'm just so excited that there are still people building and excited about the space. It just brings me so much hope that this industry will succeed, and that's been my greatest takeaway. It's just I've never had a doubt that this industry won't be important, and I do think that in the future everyone's just going to be connected on chain, and I really it's really cemented in me that that's an eventuality.
Awesome, awesome. That's really nice. And of course, I'm excited for what this space is building as well. I've definitely seen a lot more builders, or maybe more builders that I'm aware of now compared to when I first joined this space, right? Um,
Oh, absolutely.
yeah, so really amazing to have you on. And I would like to wrap this up with one last question that I always ask my guests. Could you give me three names for guest nominations in future for the podcast?
Yeah, sure. I think it'd be really cool if you had one of the Blockmates guys on. I think those guys are really fun. They bring a cool energy and they're really knowledgeable about the space. So
Uh-huh.
I think that would be cool.
Um, I kind of want to cut you in here. I'm not planning to have one of them on. I'm planning to have all of them on.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of
That's gonna be
commented
fun.
on Jedi's tweet the other day, and he was like, "Yeah, I'll be keen. So I'm probably gonna plan one with him sometime in the
Nice.
near future, and we'll
Oh,
see if
that's
the
gonna be
other
fun. I'm
two would
definitely watching
be."
that one.
Yeah. All right, and yeah, please go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, no, and I think bringing on Kareem from Kryptonary would be cool. I think those guys do work really hard on building out um, a lot of value for the crypto community. So I think talking with Kareem from Kryptonary would be cool. He was actually the first one to reach out and uh, ask me to write some long form articles for him. So I think definitely bringing him on would be a fun one. He's a good guy to talk to. And then from the CT side, maybe bringing on somebody like Lambros would be fun. He's a good guy. He just launched his own Telegram community, and that's been a fun chat to be in. So I
Oh man,
think
I missed
talking
out
with
on that.
yeah, check it out, man. It's a medium rare chat. I'll show that for him. It's a fun group over there.
Right, awesome. And actually, I really need to look into crypto Nari. I actually not very familiar with them. Not sure if it's paywall or do they do like
Yes.
free content as well?
Oh, they do. Yeah, they do free content too. Most of my stuff is on their pro side, just because it's like investment theses, and that's what they keep for the pro guys. But yeah, they have a lot of free reports, newsletters, that type of thing, discords, that sort of thing. Um,
Awesome, awesome. We'll definitely check them out. And so to summarize the nominations, it's gonna be the fellas from Blockmates, Cream from Cryptonary, and Tulembro.
Yeah, for sure.
All
And if you
right.
need any of their contacts, just let me know.
Yeah. And that shall wrap up this episode. And thank you so much for taking the time to come on and have this chat with me. Before we go, is there anything that you want to talk about that we might not have touched on yet?
No, I'm excited. Thanks for bringing me on. This was fun.
All right, awesome. And of course, thank you to our listeners for tuning into this episode. And as usual, we'll link everything down below. So do check out 563's Twitter. He's super underrated. Give him a follow, right? And of course, check out his work as well. He has all of his articles in his Notion link in his Twitter bio as well. And of course, thank you for listening again, and we'll see you in the next episode. That brings us to the end of this episode. I hope you enjoyed this episode as much as I did. Before you go, do remember to give us a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button so you never miss a thing. Comment down below what you liked about this episode, who you would like me to interview next, or any topics that you want to learn more about. Until next time, this is Moose moving out.